recently bought myself a digital recorder, and the reason I needed this was because I wanted to have some way to record studio sessions. That was the main reason. I'm going to use it for other things too. Currently in music school, doing a couple of semesters there just to branch out and learn other stuff, and it's absolutely fantastic. And every week I get to have an ensemble class. I work with these amazing faculty, teachers, these musicians. These are professional musicians. They can play any style. They're just really out of this world. So it's my opportunity to apply everything I'm learning in all the other classes, everything I'm studying and practicing all week long, and go in there and try to get my arms around these new songs that I'm learning, these new styles. So I really want to have a recording of all this so I can go back and listen through it and see how did I do, what did I not do well, what can I improve on. And I was using my iPhone to record stuff, and that's okay, that works, but having to remember to start and stop the recording so I don't end up with some huge unmanageable file that's even too big to get off the phone. So having to kind of remember, okay, I'm going to do another take and then start it and stop it. And the quality's good, but it's not amazing, so it's not the best quality to really listen through everything and hear distinctly. It's a little noisy, it's a little muffled, and then maybe you're getting text messages through the phone too, and there's a lot of interference. So I wanted something that was purpose-built just to record sounds at high quality. So that's where the Zoom H1n comes in. I did some research, looked at a few different models and brands, and this was highly recommended. And when I received it, you know, it does say the specs online, call me stupid, but it definitely surprised me how small it is. I was expecting something bigger for what it does. And I love it. It's really small, fits in the palm of your hand, super light. It's tripod mountable, so I can actually just put this on a simple tripod. I have a really small one like this that I can bring. You can get even smaller, lighter tripods. You can put it on top of that tripod and then just put that in the room. And because it's got stereo mics, it actually does a really good job of picking up a great quality sound recording. And when I'm listening back to it, I can kind of hear that, yeah, my guitar teacher's over here on the right, and I can hear the drums are over there and the bass is over there, and my guitar amp is right here beside me. So things have a dimension to them which I wasn't hearing obviously on the iPhone. It's just not designed to do that kind of thing. 2, 3. So the sound quality is just really good. Really feel like that's value for money instantly. And you can, if you want, just leave it running because you end up with a large sound file, but you can easily set kind of chapter ends or starts or bookmarks at the touch of a button. As you're listening through, you can just hit one button and it'll set a bookmark, and then you can skip right to those bookmarks. So here's a little bit of chatter going on as we're getting ready to play. I'm going to skip to a bookmark. And right away it goes to that bookmark. I set another bookmark at the end of that track because I also want to be able to listen back through what the comments were, what feedback they had for me after the session. There's the next take. More commentary and another bookmark. So by listening back through it, I can easily set bookmarks which allow me to skip around and just hear the particular part that I want to hear. So it's not as disadvantageous to just let the thing run as it might be, say, on an iPhone. What you can also do is when you're recording, if you hit the pause button, it automatically sets a bookmark right there. So you're pausing the recording and it's bookmarked. You unpause, it continues to record, and that way I can just lean over and hit that pause button between takes so that I don't even have to go back afterwards and set the bookmarks that are already coded into the file. It records as MP3s or waves, and you can change the quality of the recording. So if you really want the highest quality sound wave, you can do that, but it's going to obviously take up more space and you'll fit less hours of recording time onto the device. Or you can bring it down to the lowest quality MP3 and fit more on there, so you can kind of play with the value that you want. It does take an SD card, a micro SD card, and again, call me stupid, I read the specs online, but I didn't really see it explicitly, obviously called out that SD card not included. So when I did receive this and noticed there was no SD card in the box, I had to go and cannibalize another device so I could just use it there and then order a replacement on Amazon. So bear in mind, it doesn't come with its own SD card, its own micro SD card built in. It's battery powered. It does come with batteries, so the old saying, batteries not included, doesn't apply here. Batteries are included. It really should say micro SD card not included. So it comes with a couple of batteries, and even with the batteries in it, it's still really light, and reportedly that's about 10 hours of operating time with the batteries. You can power it with a DC 5-volt adapter. You can probably pick one up at your local electronics store, or Zoom does sell its own specific branded power supply if you want to go that route. And if you have the right USB cable and you're plugging it into your computer, you can power it that way as well. So it doesn't necessarily need to take just battery power if you want to go that way, but the fact that it can go off the battery for so long means it's super portable. It has a couple of cool features on here. You can use this circular control to set the input volume, or you can set it to auto and it'll detect the input volume itself. There are features for clipping out any kind of background noise, clipping out any sudden loud noises as well. So if you're using it for spoken word and other scenarios like that, there's a couple of cool features designed to remove some of the glitches and pops and what have you that can interfere with the audio. It's got a headphone out, and the headphone quality is really good. It also has a small speaker, which is small, but it is effective. So it is effective. It's really just for review. You're not probably going to want to use this as your main playback method, but just to have that built in, it is kind of handy. I personally think the sound quality offered is really awesome. I've listened back to some of the tracks over the headphones. I've imported them onto the computer, listened to them there, and it just gives me such a better dynamic rendering of what was happening in the studio, and I can separate out the instruments and I can hear what the bass is doing. And as a student, this is really useful for me because I can't necessarily hear all the details in the moment. Try to listen to what the guitar teacher's doing, what the bass is doing, what the drums are doing, and react to that and make it more of a composite. That's a lot. So what I find is listening back to the recording using a high quality recording so I can really hear what's going on, it's massively instructional, because there's things that as a student learning these styles, it's just too much in the moment. So having a really good version to listen to helps. The other cool thing about this, it has a mic in on it too, so if you wanted to use a better microphone or a more high quality microphone, you can actually do that and just use this purely as a recording device. For me though, the quality of the mics is already fine for what I'm trying to do, so I'm not going to attach another mic to it. Using the USB, I can attach it to my Mac or another laptop, and I can use this as an external mic for my Mac as well, so I can record straight into, say, GarageBand. So that's another handy feature. Probably not going to do a whole lot of that, but one of the cool features is it does have that line out, which is good for headphones, but it can also be used to send the signal into a camera. So for example, with this camera, often I get feedback on my YouTube channel that, hey, the quality of some of the songs I post, maybe we'd better if I had a different microphone or used a better setup. And I do have a hardware audio interface, which I love and think is awesome. I've talked about that here on the channel, but sometimes it's just a little extra work. I'm not quite as used to it yet. So setting up the hardware interface, 2 mics and 2 mic stands with 2 cables going in there, getting the levels right, putting it into the Mac, having it on GarageBand, then using that sound file afterwards and merging with the video feed. Sometimes that's just a little bit more of a stretch, and I haven't quite got that down to an efficient fine art. So to have something in the middle, something intermediary where I can improve the sound quality, that was also a really attractive option to me. So in researching this, I tried to look and see whether it could be used as a mic for the camera, and indeed it can be. Using a straightforward stereo mini jack, you can just drive that right into the camera. I did do an A/B test of this, and I don't know what you think, but personally I feel like the sound quality when using this for the audio signal for the video is better than the built-in mic on the Canon camera. And the built-in mic on the camera is pretty good. I've used it to record music videos all the time and live gigs, and it's not an issue, it's not a problem.
I know, 'cause I think about it all the time.
But I think using the stereo mics, you just get a little more separation and a little more clarity, and things sound a bit more distinct and spaced out, which allows you just to hear the vocals and the guitar a little bit more separately and a little more distinctly, which I think is awesome.
I know, 'cause I think about it all the time. I know that real love is hard to find.
So it works really well, not just as a digital recorder, but as an additional mic for a camera setup. So I'll definitely be using it in that capacity for a lot of the music videos that I do going forward. One thing I did notice, I talked about plugging this into your computer so you can either use it as an external mic, or if you wanted to connect it just to get the sound files off it, you can take the micro SD card out and use a card reader and just plug that into your machine directly. But it is kind of handy just to plug the Zoom straight into the computer. In doing that, I noticed that not every USB cable would work. I mean, these USB cables, they have the same connections, they look the same, but for some reason this one didn't work and this one did work. So you might have to change around and try some different cables. Just like the power supply, you can order that off of the Zoom website. There's an accessories box that they offer that has a tripod, has a windshield kind of foam cover for the mic. It's got the USB cable and it has the power supply. So that's a pretty cool accessories pack if you want to get that. But I kind of have those bits and pieces lying around, so I'm not going to go ahead and necessarily order that. So that's all. I'm pretty excited about this, just as a tool to allow me to walk away from sessions where I'm playing with some really great top-notch pros, and I want to make sure I'm taking advantage and I'm not just trying to remember what I learned in the room or what they said in the room or the feedback they gave me. Long after the classes are finished, whether I continue doing semesters or not there, whatever direction I go in, I'll have a recording not just of the session that I can listen to, but of everything that they recommend and all the advice and feedback they gave me, which is really the value of studying under masters like that. So this is just a fantastic tool for that. So that's all for this week. I love sharing new gear when I come across it and when I buy it. And as always, if you like what you see on the channel, do go ahead and click the like button and hit subscribe and use the bell icon so that you're notified when I post new content, and I'll see you again in a future video.
I hear a lot of stories, suppose it could be true, all about love, what it could do to you. Highs the risk of striking out, the risk of getting hurt, and still I have so much to learn. But I know, 'cause I think about it all